you so much for participating in today's interview. We look forward to hearing about what you have to say all about play and how you incorporate play in your setting. So, as a family daycare educator, what are your thoughts on learning through play?
As we know, play is vital. It's everything for young children. It's the basis of how they learn and interact with their world. Um, for me, I guess I look at play as just the way that we interact with children. It's the way they learn. They're natural born scientists. They're
Mm.
hardwired to explore and experiment and experience their world around them, and we're really just here to facilitate that as educators. And for young children, play is the most effective and enjoyable way that they process new information and experiences, and learn about everything around
Mm.
them. So it's really the basis of what we do. We're just facilitators of play, as we should be.
So, all the learning that takes place through that play, do you combine sort of planned as well as spontaneous experiences for children?
Yes, so we have our planning cycle, and I sit down at the end of every day and plan for the next day and plan for the next week. But sometimes, like today, the children have completely different plans for our day. So I like to plan, and I'm a real planner. I have a planning board each month that I like to fill out weeks in advance. But some of those things just get crossed off the list as it evolves every day and their interests change and they move in different tangents, or there's an experience that's more of a priority for them to explore that's happened through the month. So, yeah, it's quite a combination of intentional teaching and planned experiences, but it's all adaptable to the day and the weather and moods and what people want to do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all about daily flexibility.
Yep, that's it, because you never know also what type of sleep they've had the night before, how energized they feel.
That's right. And we're on the in the Hunter Valley, so we've just had a very large flood. So we had a week of all extensions of learning didn't really happen because we've had people away, and then the children that were here wanted to explore that. So
Yeah,
it's environmental as well. It
yeah,
just depends on what's happening as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, fair enough. So that was a great way to incorporate that spontaneous learning. What sort of other play experiences do you have available for children in your home?
So in my indoor, I have two main play spaces, one inside, and I have a large granny flat, which is an indoor outdoor play space.
Yep.
So I have a mix of experiences every day. I have areas that are permanent areas that are always set up, like the home corner is a permanent area, and our mindfulness corner, our soft space, that's a permanent fix. So children know they have that soft space and safe space to go to when they want throughout the day. But I also have open shelving in both play spaces, so children can make choices about what they would like to play with. And what's available on those shelves depends on what the children are interested in at the time. It's fluid and they change. I like to use bowls, so all of my open shelving has bowls. So there's mixes of small world play. I like lots of natural fibres. I'm a real nature whiz, I guess. I like to live
Hmm.
outside, and I'm a
Yep.
beekeeper as well. So our play spaces have a lot of natural fibres and resources in them as loose parts. Um, so lots of things there, lots of art resources.
Yeah.
I really like artistic expression for little people. So I have a large art space in my outdoor play space, and that's accessible for children of all ages. So it's self-serve. Children can make choices about when they want to create and what they want to create, from pumping their own paints, watercolors, charcoal, beeswax, terracotta clay, collage materials. They're a permanent fix, I guess, in my play space. So there's quite a mix of materials up there. Down here in my indoor play space, this is a yoga space as well for the children. So I try to keep this space down here a little bit more minimalist, but
Mm.
still open shelving, lots of grappets and grims and open-ended resources that children can choose from, but I try to keep the play down here a little bit more slower play because it's attached to our rest area as well. Yeah, so quite a mix of different resources in both spaces. And our outdoor space has lots of garden and veggie spaces. So, and the beehives that the children can observe during the day.
That's just fascinated me. How do you go about that? How do you support them to learn about the beehives?
So we have a glass safety fence that runs up the middle of my daycare area. So
Yeah.
the bees are about 3.5 meters away from that glass fence. So the children can't access our honey beehives unsupervised, but they are able to observe them all day. And our bees here have actually been selectively bred to be quiet and calm. We have someone here that breeds them for school and preschool programs. So yeah, so the children are able to actually observe the honeybees. I harvest honey, and the children process honey with me. I will often bring frames in that have live larvae and brood in them. So all the children here are quite knowledgeable around bees and the life cycle of bees, and they've seen swarms. So when we practice our lockdown drills, bee swarms are something that we have to practice for, and we actively manage so that that doesn't happen. But bees make up their mind to do
They
things
do.
sometimes.
They do.
So we
I,
have had a bee swarm while daycare was going, and we've had called someone and suits on and children inside, and they got to watch it be captured. And yeah, we have many beehives now.
that's amazing. So I was just going back a little bit. I'm not sure if I heard you right. Did you say the bees have been trained?
They've been selectively bred. So
Right.
they can selectively breed queen bees because your queen bee sets the temperament for your entire hive. So you can actually selectively breed for temperament in bees. So my bees here, you can actually just walk around the beehives without a suit on. They're very, very quiet. Obviously, we don't do that with small children.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do, yeah, the children have been involved in building the hives, in painting the hives. What else do? They build the brood frames, they help me harvest the honey, they help me harvest the wax, they take honey home, we cook with honey. So it's just been an incredible learning resource in our
Yeah.
space. And we're getting stingless bees in spring this year, which will be in our main play area because they're not a hazard to anybody. But it's been great because in the Hunter Valley, we had the varroa mites started here, and we had a 2-year period where all the bees were actually killed in the Hunter Valley. They were baited and killed to try to stop the varroa mite spreading. So we needed to help our local community re-establish our bee population here for the farmers because we're in Morpeth, we're in a farming area.
Yeah.
So that's what prompted us to get the bees last year. But it really escalated. Now 2 of our daycare families have a hive as well. It's kind of,
Wow. So you're
yeah,
spreading the love. You're
it,
spreading the,
yeah,
but
the
what a
buzz has
great
continued.
way of engaging in sustainability as a community as well.
Oh, 100%. It's and also just the learning it has provoked in other areas. So now we have a queen ant because it's kind of prompted more questions around nature and life cycles in other areas than I thought it would. I
Mm.
didn't realize how that learning would be transferred to other areas. So, one of the questions was, Dean, do ants have a queen like a bee? And it kind of flowed from there. So now we have this queen ant, which I didn't realize at the time lived for 15 years. So that's a big commitment.
That is a big
Then the bees,
commitment.
but we've got a queen ant. And yeah, so it's been incredible. It's really, I knew that the children would really enjoy this experience, but it's been so much more enriching than I thought it would. And also how much the parents have had an input, the
Mm.
questions from parents. We had an open bee day here on a Saturday when the bees actually were delivered because we spent a couple of months building the hives, painting the hives, doing the garden prep, the planting the flowers, and we had about 30 people here that day when the bees
Wow.
arrived, like the community interest in bees. Once they realize they don't need to be afraid,
Mm.
they were just fascinated. They've all fallen down the rabbit hole now. But
Uh,
another educator locally has a hive now too, so it's kind of spread the love that way as well.
wow. That
Yeah, so
that it is actually quite fascinating. And bees are such an important part of the earth, and producing fruit and vegetables, and replenishing the earth with natural products as well, and nature.
yeah.
So important.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We're actually experiencing a poison event here at the moment, which has been really tragic. We don't know where the poison's coming from, but it's killing one of our hives.
Oh
So
no.
that has really led to a lot of questions and learning with the preschool age children because
Yeah.
they're asking some really hard questions about
Yeah.
pesticides. Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Why is this happening? Did you call the farmer? Did you tell them that their poison has affected the bee? Like that
Wow.
empathy and concern is just, yeah. So we've had the DPI come out and inspect the hives. We got to watch that happen, take samples. They're testing them for poison. So it's, yeah. Anyway, I'll talk bees all day long if you let me.
I could probably listen all day, but I
Yeah.
think there'll be a lot of cutting back, because I think we're at 20 minutes already, and I've still got a
Yeah,
bunch of other
sorry.
questions to ask. But no, it's totally fine. It's totally
Yeah.
fine. I think actually, having to me, listening to you talk about that, it demonstrates your vested interest in being able to teach children, not just through imaginary play, but through exploration of ideas. And, you're all on a journey together. So I can kind of see that you're not just there guiding them, you're immersing yourself in their way of thinking as well.
Yeah, 100%. And when you provide them with those practical examples,
Mm,
like looking inside a beehive, you can teach them with resources about the life cycle of bees. But if you hand them a frame of brood and involve them in that process, their knowledge retention is just incredible. I was originally a financial advisor and I did family daycare to stay at home for 12 months with my eldest daughter, who's now 13,
yeah.
almost 14. So, yeah, I fell well and truly down the rabbit hole. I had no idea you could have fun at work. It was,
Oh, well, see,
it's,
that's the thing, isn't it?
yeah,
It is about fun. Play is about having fun
yeah,
and
yeah,
being curious and connecting with each other.
100%. Yeah, it's the most joyful part. Yeah, it's joyful. It's pure and joyful. It's really wonderful. Yeah.
So when you're, I suppose, immersed in play and all of the learning, how do you, um, keep up the supervision and the risk assessments and all of those sorts of things? Because it's a tricky balance to be fully immersed in play and with exploration, and then being able to supervise well at the same time.
Yeah. So actively supervising, making sure, particularly in an indoor outdoor space that's quite a large area, it's about, for me, well, moving between the two spaces. But if I am engaged in an activity, just making sure that I position myself so that I
Mm,
can observe. Knowing your children and their natural rhythms, I find helps too, because you can generally predict where children are going to be and what they're going to be interested in. Um, Throughout the day. You can, if you know your children really well, you also know the risks. If
yeah,
someone is a climber, they need to be more actively supervised
yeah,
than the children who are going to be close to you, drawing, being with you all day. And I set up my play space so there's no real visual blockers if I am um, inside or outside. Anchoring myself with play. So if I'm outside playing with them, or for example, when we're at the park, which is a large open public space, I find if I'm playing with the children, they stay with me anyway.
mm,
So being available, being in one spot, being actively engaged with them, they all organically want to be with you. So you don't tend to have children wandering off. So if
mm.
I'm playing games at the park, they stay with me anyway. And the same in my own backyard as well. If I'm sitting and engaged in play and being present, they tend to be around me anyway, around that natural circle of security, I guess.
Yeah. And that really shows that you have a strong relationship with the children, and that they trust you, and that you genuinely want to be with them, which makes them feel valued and a sense of belonging as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Mm. So, do you have any children who are school age?
I have my own two children here who are school age,
Yeah,
and I have one who's currently school age, who's still here this year,
yeah,
who has some special needs, who we've held back a little bit longer.
yeah,
And that's it. I used to do vacation care. I don't anymore.
yeah. And so when it comes to then incorporating, like you've talked a lot about how you build children's interests and ideas into your planning and, being spontaneous and changing directions. Do you find that's a bit different for older children? Like, do you do different things with older children?
Yes, older children are obviously more verbal and can communicate more clearly. So I do have planning sessions with them each week.
Yeah,
So I literally ask them, what would you like to do? Would you like to continue to look at the ants next week when you come back tomorrow? What would you like to do? I was thinking about doing this. Do you have any other ideas? So I really try to get the sort of 3 and 4 and 5 year olds to have input verbally into the program and tell me what they want to do. Because sometimes that is completely different to where I thought they wanted to go.
mm,
They can really lead me in different directions. Yeah, with those planning sessions.
wow. And so do they tend to also engage with the younger children as well when they're there?
Yes, very much. So it's really lovely in family daycare because it's like mentoring, I guess.
Mm,
Those mixed ages are really wonderful.
mm.
My own children have grown up in family daycare and they still come home from school in the afternoon and play with the younger children. Um, and the younger children are so eager to play with them, to have those role models and mentors in their life. It's really lovely, those mixed ages.
And so much learning that can happen just with not just about concepts, but actually about those social interactions as well. And I find that young children tend to listen a bit more to the older children sometimes.
Oh, 100%. We had a couple of children who were having some um, less than positive interactions a few weeks ago, and I was doing lots of programming around it, lots of stories, lots of group times, lots of group discussions. And my youngest daughter came home from school one day and observed what was happening in the yard and said to one of the children, I really like the way you're playing together like that. And perhaps, you could try this next time. And it literally stopped the behavior in a moment.
Wow.
The power of peers is incredible. And I had spent a month's worth of programming for these two, and she sorted it out
And that's all
in a
you needed to
moment.
do.
Yeah, yeah,
Just bring
it
her
was
in.
fantastic. Yeah, so it was lovely to see just
Wow.
how much
Yeah.
power and influence positive older peers can really have on younger children.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so that's really important for us to have a really strong connection with the older children as well and be able to support them in their own social emotional growth as well to
Yes.
keep that
Yeah.
up. Mm.
Definitely.
So I've got a couple of more questions. So tell me about your engagement with families. How do you explain play-based learning to families, or do they ask you questions about it? What sort of discussions do you have?
Um, some families ask questions, some families don't. It generally comes up in questions when there's a challenging behavior. That seems to
Okay.
be where a lot of questions come from. I try to explain play-based learning around the why, if I
Mhm.
can. If I have the knowledge and I'm confident to share it, I will try to explain things in terms of why a child might be exploring a particular urge or interest or action or motion. Yeah, in terms of the why and what benefit they are getting out of it.
Mm,
Like for instance, something simple like peekaboo seems like such a simple thing, but
mm,
trying to explain to a parent that that game is cause and effect and object
mm,
permanence, and this is helping with separation anxiety, and their brain has this urge to do this because they're trying to concrete this learning, and play is how they're going to learn it. Sometimes I'll share resources if I'm aware of something that is going to add value, particularly around something like a schema, just to explain why, something simple we're doing in care is really effective for a particular interest or milestone that we're trying to work towards. So, yeah, trying to explain the why, if I can, I think probably displays the benefit more than anything.
It does. And sometimes parents actually need to see that in action. Families need to
Yes.
be able to see if this is what you've been teaching them, but you've done it through play. And now
Yeah.
this child is able to explain or demonstrate, but it was done through play. It wasn't done through, formal formal learning that is doesn't give the child agency. It's restrictive, it's open.
That's right. Yeah.
So, do you have any tips for other family daycare educators in regards to play and how they can immerse themselves in play with children?
Um, just, I think the most important thing in terms of play for educators is my top tip would probably be just play with them, be with them, be involved. Play doesn't need to be elaborate or Instagrammable creations and elaborate setups and
Mm,
expensive resources. It is children really just enjoy simple things and simple pleasures. Crunching leaves, playing peekaboo, watching a caterpillar, observing a bee in the garden, like just be with them. We're really special people in these children's lives, and we are the most adaptable resource in this play space for them.
mm.
So just being with them and giving them the time, and we don't have to rush them anywhere. We can just give them time and space and just hold space for them to play. Um, just
Wow,
let
what a
them lead.
beautiful. Sorry, say that again.
No, that's okay. Just let them lead. Let them
Mm,
lead. Let them make choices, and just conversation sometimes is the most wonderful play. Walking to the park conversations are one of my favorite ways to play with the children, because I find they just talk and tell me all these wonderful things in those parallel moments of walking together. Really spontaneous conversations, but you just have to be there and be present. Yeah, I think is the most wonderful way to incorporate play. Yeah, it's
mm.
just being there. Mm.
Well, I think the children that are with you are experiencing a beautiful life and enjoyment in your setting. And I can see that you're so incredibly dedicated and committed to what you do, and always thinking about the children that you're with. Like you were saying earlier, it's really knowing the children, really knowing them. And they love to be known as well. They want to be known.
100%. They live in such a
Mm,
fast-paced world.
yeah.
We get to be so privileged in that we get to hold their hand for a little while and just give them somewhere to not have to rush with no tech, and
Mm,
just get to be with them for a little while. So it's yeah, it's really wonderful to be a play facilitator.
brilliant. Thank you so much for that. That was incredible.